Andrew hit the marble floor hard. His knees cracked against polished stone, and the chains around his wrists rattled in the sudden silence. He looked up slowly, blinking away the purple glare of 3 suns filtering through massive crystal windows. The throne room stretched endlessly before him. Hundreds of alien faces stared down from tiered galleries. They were tall, elegant beings with silver skin and eyes like molten gold. The Vurani. Conquerors of 40 star systems. And there, seated on a throne of black glass, was Princess Kira. She was younger than he expected. Perhaps 20 in human years, though who could tell with aliens. Her silver skin seemed to glow. A crown of living light hovered above her head. She wore armor that looked ceremonial, engraved with symbols Andrew didn't recognize. Her golden eyes fixed on him with something between curiosity and disgust. This is the human. Her voice carried across the hall without effort. Musical, but cold. The guard beside Andrew yanked his chains. Yes, Your Highness. Captured near the border zone. Kira leaned forward slightly. I expected something more impressive. Laughter rippled through the galleries. Andrew said nothing. He had learned that silence was sometimes the only dignity left to a prisoner. Stand him up, Kira commanded. The guards hauled Andrew to his feet. He was tall for a human, but still a full head shorter than the Vurani flanking him. His clothes were torn and dirty from weeks in the cargo hold of a prison transport. His dark hair fell across his eyes. Kira descended 3 steps from her throne, studying him like a specimen. The humans claim to be warriors, she said, her voice dripping with amusement. They claim to have honor and strength. Is this true, human? Andrew met her gaze. My name is Andrew. Silence crashed through the hall. It speaks, someone shouted from above. More laughter. Kira's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her golden eyes. You were not given permission to speak, human. You asked me a question, Andrew said quietly. I answered. A Vurani advisor rushed to Kira's side, whispering urgently. She waved him away, her attention still locked on Andrew. Bold, she said. Or foolish. Perhaps both. She circled him slowly. My people have conquered your colonies without effort. Your ships burn like paper. Your soldiers flee. What honor is there in weakness? Andrew's jaw tightened, but he remained silent. Kira stopped in front of him. My brother died 3 cycles ago. Killed in a training accident that should never have happened. Our strongest warriors failed to satisfy the old traditions. The court whispers that I am unfit to rule. She paused, her voice hardening. In 1 week, I must prove my right to the throne by presenting a champion who can defeat Vorn, the blade master of House Toril. If I fail, my claim dies with my champion. Andrew frowned, not understanding why she was telling him this. I have a proposal, human. Kira's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. You will fight as my champion. The hall erupted. Shouts of outrage and disbelief echoed from every gallery. The advisors surged forward, protesting in rapid Vurani that Andrew couldn't follow. Kira raised one hand. Silence fell instantly. If you win, she continued, I will grant you your freedom and safe passage to any human world. If you lose, you die in the arena. Either way, you will serve a purpose. And if I refuse? Andrew asked. Then you die today, in this room, having served no purpose at all. Andrew studied her face. There was calculation there, but also something else. Desperation, maybe. Why me? He asked. Kira tilted her head. Because you are expendable. Because when you lose, I can claim the human species itself is unworthy. The court will accept this. They will grant me more time to find a true champion. You expect me to lose. I expect you to die, Kira corrected. Vorn has killed 17 opponents in formal combat. He is trained in 8 weapon forms and 4 unarmed disciplines. You are human. The outcome is not in question. Andrew felt a cold anger settle in his chest. Then you don't know much about humans. I know you are fragile. Weak. Slow. She gestured dismissively. Your people are good for labor, perhaps. But warriors? No. The advisor, a thin Vurani with silver robes, leaned close to Kira again. Your Highness, this is madness. The court will never accept a human champion. It dishonors the ritual. The ritual requires a champion, Kira said sharply. It does not specify species. I have read the law. This is valid. She turned back to Andrew. Do we have an agreement, human? Andrew looked at the chains on his wrists. At the hundreds of alien faces watching him like he was a curiosity, a joke. At the princess who saw him as nothing more than a temporary distraction from her political problems. My name is Andrew, he said again. And yes. We have an agreement. They took him to a cell beneath the palace. Not the dark pit he expected, but a circular room with a window overlooking the city. Towers of silver and glass stretched toward the purple sky. Ships moved between them like schools of fish. The chains were removed. A Vurani guard, shorter than the others but still imposing, brought him water and something that might have been food. Eat, the guard said. You will need strength for training. Training? Andrew flexed his wrists, feeling circulation return. The princess has granted you 6 days. You will train with Master Drell. The guard's golden eyes held something Andrew couldn't quite read. Pity, maybe. It will not be enough. Vorn is unstoppable. But the princess demands you at least appear to be a warrior. The guard left, and Andrew was alone. He moved to the window, pressing his palm against the cool glass. Somewhere beyond this city, beyond this planet, there were human worlds. Colonies struggling to survive against Vurani expansion. People who needed hope. Andrew had been a soldier once. A good one. He had trained in close quarters combat, in tactics and strategy. But that was before the capture, before the transport, before he became just another human prisoner in an alien empire. Now he was a pawn in a princess's political game. He smiled grimly at his reflection in the glass. She expected him to lose. They all did. Good. Let them expect that. Master Drell arrived at dawn. He was ancient for a Vurani, his silver skin marked with scars and his golden eyes faded to amber. He carried no weapons, only a small bag. You are the human, Drell said. It wasn't a question. Andrew. I do not care about names. Show me your stance. Andrew positioned himself, feet shoulder-width apart, weight balanced. Basic combat-ready position. Drell walked around him, silent for a long moment. You have training. Some. Against humans? Yes. Then you have nothing. Drell opened his bag and pulled out a training blade, blunted but still lethal-looking. Vurani physiology is different. We are faster. Stronger. Our reaction time is approximately twice yours. In a straight contest of speed and power, you cannot win. Andrew watched the blade. Then why train me at all? Because the princess commanded it. And because there is a difference between cannot win and will not win. Drell tossed him the blade. Andrew caught it, testing the weight. Heavier than he expected. Vorn is powerful, Drell continued. But power makes warriors arrogant. He will expect you to fight like a Vurani. He will expect certain moves, certain rhythms. Do you understand? You want me to fight dirty. I want you to survive longer than 30 seconds, Drell said flatly. Now. Attack me. Andrew lasted 12 seconds. Drell moved like water, deflecting Andrew's strikes and sweeping his legs out from under him in one fluid motion. Andrew hit the floor hard, breath exploding from his lungs. Again, Drell said. They went again. And again. And again. By midday, Andrew was covered in bruises. His muscles screamed. But he was learning. Verani fighting was beautiful, almost like a dance. It relied on grace and precision. Every movement connected to the next in flowing sequences. It was also predictable. Stop, Andrew said during their 20th engagement. He was breathing hard, sweat dripping down his face. You always counter a high strike with a rotation to the left. Drell froze. What? Every time I strike high, you rotate left and strike low. It's part of the form, isn't it? The pattern. Something changed in Drell's expression. You see the patterns. I'm starting to. Drell lowered his blade slowly. Verani combat is built on ancient forms. 8 primary forms, each with variations. They are sacred. Beautiful. Effective. He paused. And yes. Predictable to one who knows them. Does Vorn know I'm studying the forms? Vorn knows you are human. He will not believe you capable of understanding them. Good, Andrew said. Teach me more. Word of the human champion spread through the palace like fire. On the 3rd day of training, Princess Kira visited the practice chamber. She stood in the gallery above, watching Andrew spar with Drell. Her face revealed nothing. Andrew noticed her immediately but didn't stop. He was working on a defensive sequence, trying to turn Drell's 4th form attacks against him. It wasn't working. Drell was too fast, too experienced. Andrew hit the floor again. Enough, Kira's voice echoed down. Master Drell, leave us. Drell bowed and departed. Andrew pulled himself to his feet, wincing. Everything hurt. Kira descended the stairs, her armor replaced by simpler robes. She still wore the crown of light. You are progressing faster than expected, she said. Is that a compliment? It is an observation. She picked up one of the training blades, examining it. Master Drell says you recognize the combat forms. That you adapt quickly. He's a good teacher. He is wasting his time. Kira set the blade down. You cannot defeat Vorn. You understand this, yes? Andrew grabbed a water container, drinking deeply before answering. You've made that very clear. Then why do you try so hard? Why not simply accept the inevitable? Andrew looked at her directly. Because I don't accept that humans are weak. And I don't accept dying to prove your political point. Kira's eyes flashed. You speak boldly for a prisoner. You made me your champion. That gives me the right to speak. I could revoke that decision. You won't. Andrew set down the water. You need this. You need me to walk into that arena so the court gives you more time. You're counting on my failure. Kira was silent for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was colder. My brother was gentle. Kind. He would have been a good ruler. But he died because he hesitated in combat. The Verani respect only strength. If I show weakness, if I fail to present a worthy champion, they will place my cousin on the throne instead. And your cousin? He believes in the old ways. Expansion. Conquest. Under his rule, your human colonies will burn. She turned away. So yes, human. I need you to fail in a way that buys me time. This is not personal. This is survival. Andrew felt something shift in his understanding of her. You don't want war. I want my people to be strong without being cruel. But first, I must survive. She walked toward the stairs, then paused. Train hard, Andrew. Die well. That is all I ask. She left him alone in the chamber. Andrew stood there for a long moment, thinking. Then he picked up the training blade and began practicing again. On the 5th day, they brought Andrew to see the arena. It was massive. A circular pit surrounded by towering stands that could hold thousands. The floor was sand mixed with something that sparkled in the sunlight. At the center stood a weapon rack. Tomorrow, you will enter through that gate, the guard explained, pointing. Vorn will enter from the opposite side. You may choose any weapon from the rack. The combat ends when one fighter yields or dies. And if I win? The guard laughed. Then the suns will fall from the sky. That night, Andrew couldn't sleep. He stood at his window, watching the city lights. His body was harder now, stronger from 5 days of brutal training. Drell had taught him everything he could in a limited time. The forms, the patterns, the weaknesses. But it wouldn't be enough. Andrew knew that. Vorn was a lifetime warrior. Andrew was a human who had been given less than a week of preparation. The door to his cell opened. Andrew turned, expecting a guard. It was Princess Kira. She wore no crown, no armor. Just simple dark robes. Her silver skin seemed to glow in the dim light. I should not be here, she said quietly. Then why are you? Kira stepped inside. I watched your training today. All of it. Master Drell says you have learned more in 5 days than most warriors learn in months. It won't matter against Vorn. No, she agreed. It will not. They stood in silence. I came to apologize, Kira said finally. Andrew blinked. What? I chose you because I thought you were worthless. Expendable. A piece to be sacrificed in a larger game. Her golden eyes met his. But you have trained with honor. You have faced impossible odds without complaint. You deserve better than to be used this way. Andrew didn't know what to say. After tomorrow, Kira continued, after Vorn kills you, I will make sure your death is remembered. I will speak your name to the court. Andrew. Not the human. You will have that much. You could still stop this, Andrew said. Find another way. There is no other way. The law is absolute. She moved to the window, standing beside him. Tell me about Earth. About your home. So Andrew did. He told her about blue skies and oceans. About cities that sprawled in different directions than Vurani architecture. About diversity and conflict and music and art. About 100 different cultures on one world. Kira listened, her expression softening. It sounds chaotic, she said. It is. But it's also beautiful. The Vurani value order. Unity. We have one language, one culture, one way. She paused. Sometimes I wonder if we have lost something in all that perfection. Maybe, Andrew said. Or maybe every species just has different strengths. Kira turned to him. What is humanity's strength? Andrew thought about that. We adapt. We survive. We don't give up, even when we should. Show me, Kira said suddenly. What? Show me how humans fight. Not the Vurani forms. Your way. Andrew hesitated. Your Highness, I don't think that's. We are alone. There is no court here, no protocol. She picked up one of the training blades he kept in his cell. I want to understand. Before tomorrow. Andrew took a blade as well. Human combat is different. It's not as elegant. Show me anyway. They faced each other in the small space. Andrew didn't use the Vurani forms. Instead, He moved like he had been taught in basic training. Direct. Efficient. Brutal when necessary. He incorporated strikes that Vurani warriors would consider crude. Kira defended, her movements pure and flowing. But Andrew's unpredictability threw her off balance. "You do not follow patterns," she said, breathing harder. "Humans can't afford to. We're usually outmatched. We have to improvise." They continued, and Andrew saw something in Kira's eyes. Respect, maybe. Or curiosity. Finally, she lowered her blade. "I begin to understand. You do not fight with elegance. You fight to win." "We fight to survive," Andrew corrected. "There's a difference." Kira was quiet for a moment. "I wish I had more time to learn about your people. I think we have underestimated you." "Yes," Andrew said. "You have." She smiled, small and sad. "Rest tonight, Andrew. Tomorrow will come soon enough." She left, and Andrew was alone again. Morning arrived with the sound of drums. They dressed Andrew in light armor, Vurani style. It fit poorly on his human frame. Guards escorted him through the palace, down long corridors filled with courtiers who had come to watch the spectacle. They whispered as he passed. "The human champion. The princess's folly. The sacrifice." Master Drell waited at the arena entrance. He placed a hand on Andrew's shoulder. "You have been a worthy student," Drell said. "Fight with intelligence, not pride. Survive as long as you can. That is victory enough. And if I actually win?" Drell's amber eyes held something ancient. "Then you will change everything." The gates opened. The roar of the crowd crashed over Andrew like a wave. He stepped into the arena. The stands were packed. Thousands of Vurani, all watching him. The three suns blazed overhead, turning the sand almost white. At the far end, Andrew could see the opposite gate beginning to open. Princess Kira sat in the royal box, surrounded by advisors and court officials. She wore full ceremonial armor now, the crown of light brilliant above her head. Their eyes met across the distance. She nodded once. An acknowledgement. Perhaps a farewell. The opposite gate opened fully. Vorn stepped into the arena, and the crowd erupted. Vorn was enormous. Nearly 7 feet tall, his silver skin marked with ritual scars. He wore minimal armor, confident in his skill. His golden eyes fixed on Andrew with cold assessment. He looked amused. The arena master's voice boomed across the sand. "By ancient law and sacred tradition, we witness trial by combat. The champion of Princess Kira faces the champion of House Toril. To yield or to death. Choose your weapons." Andrew walked to the weapon rack. Swords, spears, staffs, blades of every kind. He selected a simple short sword and a knife. Light. Fast. Mobile. Vorn chose a massive two-handed blade that would have been too heavy for most humans to even lift. They faced each other at the center of the arena. "I will make this quick, human," Vorn said. His voice was deep, resonant. "You need not suffer." "Thanks for the consideration," Andrew replied. The arena master raised his hand. "Begin." Vorn moved first, faster than Andrew expected. The massive blade swept toward him in a perfect arc, following the third form opening sequence. Andrew dove under it, rolling across the sand. The crowd gasped. They had expected him to try to block, to meet strength with strength like a Vurani warrior would. Instead, he ran. Vorn pursued, powerful and relentless. He struck again and again, each blow following classical form. Beautiful. Precise. Deadly. And Andrew avoided every one. "Stand and fight, coward," someone shouted from the stands. Andrew ignored them. He was counting, watching, analyzing. Vorn used the third form, exactly as Andrew had practiced with Drell. Every sequence was textbook perfect. Which meant every sequence was predictable. Vorn pressed harder, his attacks growing more aggressive. Andrew continued to evade, occasionally deflecting with his sword but never engaging directly. He was breathing hard now. Vorn's reach was incredible, his speed devastating. But patterns were patterns. On the 8th sequence, Andrew saw his opening. As Vorn committed to a downward strike, Andrew stepped inside his guard instead of away. The move violated every principle of Vyrani combat. No warrior would move toward such a powerful attack. Andrew's knife found the gap in Vorn's armor, cutting across his ribs. First blood. The crowd went silent. Vorn staggered back, golden eyes wide with shock. He looked down at the wound. Not deep, not dangerous. But real. You cut me, Vorn said, as if the concept was impossible. I did, Andrew confirmed. Something changed in Vorn's expression. The amusement vanished, replaced by cold fury. I will not insult you with mercy now, human. He attacked again, but this time he abandoned the classical forms. His strikes became wild, powerful, fueled by rage. Andrew's advantage disappeared. Without the predictable patterns, Vorn was nearly impossible to read. A massive fist caught Andrew in the ribs, launching him across the sand. Andrew struggled to his feet, tasting blood. That punch would have killed a normal human. His Vyrani armor had absorbed some of the impact, but his ribs were definitely cracked. Vorn stalked toward him. You fight like an insect. Dodge and sting. But insects are crushed. He raised his blade for a finishing strike. Andrew's mind raced. The forms wouldn't help now. Vorn had abandoned them. This was raw combat, strength against strength. And Andrew couldn't win that fight. So he changed the rules. As Vorn's blade descended, Andrew threw sand directly into his eyes. The crowd erupted in outrage. Such a tactic was dishonorable, unthinkable in sacred combat. But it worked. Vorn roared, momentarily blinded. Andrew didn't hesitate. He struck at Vorn's knee, his blade finding the joint in the armor. Vorn crashed down, and Andrew followed up with a strike to his weapon hand. The massive blade fell from Vorn's grip. Andrew kicked it away across the sand and pressed his sword to Vorn's throat. Yield, Andrew said, breathing hard. Vorn's golden eyes, still watering from the sand, stared up at him in disbelief. The arena had gone completely silent. Thousands of Vyrani, stunned into speechlessness. In the royal box, Princess Kira had risen to her feet, her hand covering her mouth. Yield, Andrew repeated. You don't have to die today. For a long moment, Vorn didn't move. Didn't speak. The only sound was wind across the sand. Then, slowly, he lowered his gaze. I yield. The arena exploded. Not with celebration, but with chaos. Shouting, arguing, disbelief. A human had defeated Vorn. A human had won sacred combat. It was impossible. Andrew stepped back, lowering his sword. His entire body shook with adrenaline and exhaustion. He had won. Actually won. The arena master looked utterly lost. This had never happened before. He didn't know what to do. Princess Kira's voice cut through the chaos. The combat is concluded. The human has proven himself worthy. By law and tradition, I claim my right to the throne. A Vyrani official in ornate robes stood in the royal box. This is invalid. The human fought without honor. He used deception, tricks. He used intelligence, Kira countered, her voice ringing with authority. He adapted. He survived. These are not weaknesses. They are strengths. Another official protested. But the sacred forms. The forms are beautiful, Kira said. But they are not the only path to victory. We have become so obsessed with tradition that we have forgotten the purpose of combat, to test the warrior's spirit. And this human has more spirit than any warrior I have seen. She descended from the royal box, walking across the sand to where Andrew stood. The crowd watched, breathless. She stopped before him. You have won your freedom, Andrew. And my throne. The following days were a storm of politics. The court divided sharply. Traditionalists insisted the combat was invalid, that Kira's claim remained in question. Progressives argued that the law was clear, she had presented a champion, and he had won. Kira's cousin, Lord Thane, led the opposition. He was older than Kira, scarred from military campaigns, and he commanded significant support among the warrior houses. Andrew remained in the palace, technically free but practically a prisoner of circumstance. Kira had granted him quarters near her own chambers, and they met frequently to discuss strategy. Thane will not accept this, Kira said during one of their meetings. He is preparing a challenge. What kind of challenge? He will claim that I am unfit to rule because I rely on alien champions rather than Vyrani strength. He will demand that I prove myself in personal combat against his choice of opponent. Andrew frowned. Can you win that fight? I am trained. Competent. But I am not a warrior like my brother was, or like Thane's champions are. She met his eyes. I became princess through politics and intelligence, not combat prowess. Then don't accept the challenge. If I refuse, I lose the throne by default. The court will see it as cowardice. Andrew paced the room, thinking. What if I fought as your champion again? The law only permits one trial by champion per succession dispute. If I face another challenge, I must fight personally. She smiled sadly. Thane knows this. He is clever. The formal challenge came 2 days later. The court assembled in the Great Hall. Lord Thane, tall and imposing in military armor, strode to the center and proclaimed his intent. Princess Kira was unfit. She had dishonored tradition. She must prove herself or abdicate. Kira stood before the throne, her expression calm. I accept your challenge, cousin. Name your terms. Personal combat. No champions. You and I, before the court. Murmurs rippled through the assembled Vyrani. This was unexpected. Thane was challenging her directly. I have a counteroffer, Kira said. Not personal combat between us, but a test of leadership. For 1 week, we each command a military unit in a tactical simulation. The court will judge who demonstrates superior strategic ability. Thane laughed. Leadership is not measured in simulations, cousin. It is measured in strength. Then you are no leader, Andrew's voice rang out. The hall went silent. Andrew stepped forward from where he had been standing in the shadows. You have no voice here, human, Thane said coldly. I have the voice of a champion who won honorable combat, Andrew replied. And I say that any fool can swing a sword. True leadership requires intelligence, adaptation, and the ability to recognize strength in unexpected places. Thane's eyes narrowed. You dare lecture me on leadership? I dare tell you the truth. Princess Kira saw potential where others saw only a prisoner. She made a choice that seemed foolish, and it saved her throne. That is leadership. Thane stepped toward Andrew. You are the poison infecting this court. Alien ideas. Alien weakness. I beat Vorn, Andrew said simply. Your greatest warrior. Did I do that through weakness? The court stirred. That was a point that couldn't be denied. Kira moved to Andrew's side. My cousin fears change. He believes that our strength lies only in tradition, in the old ways. But I have learned something these past days. True strength is not rigid. It adapts. It grows. She turned to address the full court. The galaxy is changing. Humans spread across new worlds. Other species rise to challenge us. If we remain locked in our perfect forms, our sacred traditions, we will become obsolete. We will be conquered not because we are weak, but because we refuse to evolve. Heresy, Thane spat. Truth, Kira countered. And I can prove it. Not with simulations or words, but with action. Give me 1 year on the throne. 1 year to show that my vision for the Vyrani can make us stronger, not weaker. If I fail, I will abdicate in your favor. The court erupted in discussion. This was unprecedented. The High Arbiter, eldest of the court officials, raised his hand for silence. This proposal has merit. The law permits a proving period for contested successions. I will allow it, with one condition. Name it, Kira said. The human must leave Vyrani space. He has caused too much disruption. He is free, as promised, but he cannot remain here. Andrew felt the words like a physical blow. Leave. Return to human space. He would be free, but he would never see Kira again. He looked at her. Her expression was carefully controlled, but he saw the pain in her golden eyes. I accept these terms, Kira said formally. Thane looked between them, calculating. Finally, he nodded. 1 year. But when you fail, cousin, I will take the throne and no human will ever set foot in the Vyrani Empire again. The court was dismissed. Andrew and Kira walked together through the palace corridors, not speaking until they reached her private chambers. You gave me up, Andrew said quietly. I saved your life, Kira corrected. Thane would have found a way to kill you if you stayed. An accident. An assassination. This way, you are free. You can go home. And you face this alone. I am not alone. I have Master Drell. I have supporters in the court. And I have what you gave me. She touched his arm gently. You taught me that strength comes in many forms. That tradition is valuable, but adaptation is necessary. Those lessons will serve me when you are gone. Andrew wanted to argue, to find some way to stay. But he knew she was right. When do I leave? Tomorrow. A ship will take you to the border. From there, you can make your way home. They stood in silence, two beings from different worlds who had changed each other in ways neither expected. I will remember you, Kira said softly. Andrew. The human who won impossible combat and taught a princess how to lead. The ship was small but well-equipped. Kira came to see Andrew off personally, without the court or ceremony. I have something for you, she said, handing him a small device. A communicator. It is keyed to a private channel. If you ever need to reach me, use this. Andrew took it carefully. Will you use it? To reach me? Perhaps. When I have good news to share. She smiled. Or when I need advice from a human who fights dirty. It's not fighting dirty. It's fighting smart. I know that now. They stood at the ship's ramp, the moment stretching between them. I should say goodbye, Andrew said. Humans say goodbye. Vyrani say, until the stars align. It means we will meet again when fate permits. Until the stars align, then. Kira stepped forward and pressed her forehead to his, a Vyrani gesture of deep respect. You changed my world, Andrew. Thank you. Then she turned and walked away, her posture regal and strong. Andrew watched until she disappeared into the palace. He boarded the ship alone. As they lifted off, Andrew looked down at the Silver City, the gleaming towers, the world where he had been a prisoner and became a champion. where he had met an alien princess and discovered that honor and strength transcended species. The ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying him toward human territory. Toward home. 3 months later, Andrew sat in a small apartment on Kepler Station, a human colony on the edge of known space. He had debriefed with military intelligence, telling them everything he learned about the Vurani. Their strengths, their weaknesses, their culture. The information was valuable, and he was treated as a hero. But he felt hollow. Every day, he carried Kira's communicator. Every day, it remained silent. Then, one morning, it chimed. Andrew grabbed it, his heart racing. A message, audio only. Kira's voice filled his small room. Andrew. I hope this message finds you well. I wanted you to know that the proving period progresses. Thane opposes me at every turn, but I am holding the throne. I have implemented new training protocols for our warriors, incorporating adaptive tactics rather than rigid forms. There was resistance, but the results are undeniable. Our forces are becoming more effective. A pause. I have also opened diplomatic channels with several human colonies. Thane is furious, but the law permits it. I think he begins to fear that I might actually succeed. Another pause, longer this time. I miss our conversations. The court is full of advisors, but none of them challenge me the way you did. None of them see me as anything other than the princess. You saw me as Kira. I did not realize how valuable that was until you were gone. Her voice softened. Until the stars align, Andrew. Fight well, wherever you are. The message ended. Andrew played it 3 more times before he composed his response. Andrew's message was simple, still fighting dirty. Still winning. Proud of you. Until the stars align. Over the following months, they exchanged messages regularly. Kira shared her struggles with the court, her small victories, her doubts. Andrew told her about human colonies, about the diversity and chaos that somehow worked. Their messages became longer. More personal. Andrew learned that Kira loved music, that she painted in secret, that she sometimes felt crushed under the weight of expectation. Kira learned that Andrew had lost his family in the early days of the Vurani expansion, that he had joined the military seeking purpose, that he still had nightmares about combat. They were bridging a gap between species with nothing but words and trust. 6 months into Kira's proving period, everything changed. A hostile alien species, the Kryn, launched a massive assault on the border between Vurani and human space. They struck both species simultaneously, seeking to exploit the traditional animosity between them. The attack was devastating. Colonies burned. Ships were destroyed. Andrew's communicator chimed. Kira's voice was urgent. Andrew, I need your help. The Kryn attack threatens both our peoples. Thane wants to ignore the human colonies, to focus only on Vurani defense. But I know this is an opportunity. If we fight together, if Vurani and humans can form an alliance, we become stronger than either species alone. I am coming to the border with a fleet. I need someone the humans will trust. Someone who can speak for both worlds. I need you. Andrew didn't hesitate. Tell me where. I'll be there. The meeting took place on a neutral station between Vurani and human territory. Andrew arrived with a delegation of human military officials. Kira came with Master Drell and a contingent of Vurani warriors. When Andrew and Kira saw each other again, the months apart dissolved. They embraced, human and Vurani, while both delegations watched in surprise. You came, Kira said. You called. The negotiations were tense. Decades of mistrust did not evaporate easily. But Andrew and Kira stood together, arguing for alliance, for cooperation against a common enemy. We are stronger together, Kira told the assembled officials. A human taught me this. He showed me that strength is not about purity or tradition. It is about adaptation, about recognizing potential in unexpected places. The Vurani nearly destroyed our colonies, a human admiral argued. And we were wrong, Kira said simply. I cannot change the past. But I can offer a different future. Andrew stepped forward. I fought in a Vurani arena. I beat their champion. Not because humans are superior, but because I learned from them while keeping what made me human. That is what alliance means. Learning from each other. Becoming stronger together. The debate continued for hours. Finally, an agreement was reached. A temporary alliance against the Kryn. Shared resources, coordinated tactics, mutual defense. It was a beginning. As the delegations departed, Andrew and Kira stood together on the observation deck, watching ships from both species working side by side. You will come back with me, Kira said. It wasn't quite a question. I will, Andrew confirmed. If you want me to. I want you to. She took his hand, silver fingers interlacing with human ones. Not as a champion or a prisoner. As something new. A bridge between our peoples. Andrew smiled. Until the stars align. They have aligned, Kira said softly. Right here. Right now. And as two species began the difficult work of building trust, a human and a Vurani princess stood together, proof that even the greatest divides could be crossed with courage, respect, and an open heart. The galaxy was changing. And they would change it together.